Honest J. Nowak. Oh yeah. A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and yeah, that was kind of a little dud right there. But anyways, welcome back to Honest J. Nowak, and more importantly, welcome back to a time where I feel like that news subjects are going to be pouring in left and right. Up and down, dead center. Hopefully that continues to go well, because they just never stop coming, right? Topics are coming in all over the place, because after all, how on earth am I going to continue a good series without some inspiration or some brainstorming? Not just from myself, but from all of you guys. I feel like that by now, I probably should do something pretty special for everyone out there, because after all, even though I do have a crap ton of episodes here, I'm just going to carry on here with all this good stuff that I'm going to have going on. So anyways, I'm pretty much going to be talking about collectibles, because what I can say for sure is that, well, there are so many different things that I probably would want to talk about specifically, because I've had a lot of great memories with them. But in general, I would just like to get started with a more recent type of thing that's happened out there before progressing more into the past. Because of course, if you're not familiar with the fact that I had actually worked at Marcus Theaters for well over a year now, then well, I guess you should probably dive on into that, right? I don't know how it's going to work out, but hopefully I don't get in trouble for it. So, back in February 2019, I ended up getting hired as a Marcus Theaters worker when there weren't many people around at the time. So of course I was able to do a whole lot of parts in that area there alone, but eventually it got even better and better and better, because with releases of films like Avengers Endgame, John Wick Chapter 3, the 2019 reboot of The Lion King, Toy Story 4, and dozens of other different films that were released throughout the whole year of 2019, it's pretty clear that it was in fact probably the greatest year of cinema history. Simply because there were so many reboots and sequels and film adaptations based on books or true stories. I was able to witness all of that, all because of the time that I've spent with a sponsorship-based sort of employment with the Marcus Theaters Corporation. And simply put, even to this day, I still do look back at those times like they're some of the greatest times I've ever had in my life, because of the fact that I was able to, well, do all of that throughout the last year. Well, technically it's been well over a year now. It is in fact been about a year and a half almost. I mean, that's not really the point though, because after all, what else I can say about that in general as well, I was able to collect a lot of things there, because as a Marcus Theaters associate worker at the time, I was actually able to collect a lot of free merchandise, including first release based collectible items, including pins and stickers and posters and a lot of other things here and there. So that's probably just one thing about the collectibles life that I pretty much had, because there were dozens of other souvenirs that I was able to grab. Because if you're not familiar with, well, the time that my younger sibling Luke Nowak had been in the Franklin Prospects or the Racine Hitters baseball teams, then, well, you'd probably know a lot about, well, at least the kind of trips that I've had across the country in the last 2 years or so. Because as far back as summer of 2018 was where it was really big, because that was a time where I had gone to places like Ohio, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and even Georgia. That's right. I actually took a road trip out to the state of Georgia, which it was pretty awesome at that time. The fact I was able to get in a few road trips like that throughout the whole summer, it was pretty darn fun. But of course it got even better, because in 2019, despite the fact that there weren't as many trips that I was able to go to, I nevertheless was able to get into certain areas, like I went down to the state of Iowa and Illinois. But of course, here in 2020, much more recent times, it also got quite better for me. because those were actually times where I was able to spend a lot of time based on the fact that I was able to get some nice souvenirs and collectible items like keychains and the like from these places. No joke. I was able to go to certain other places throughout this whole year alone. Like, I went over to Indianapolis just recently. Yeah. Not even a month ago it's been. And I actually went over to the state of Indianapolis. And that was amazing. But a little further back, as far back as around this past February and March, I simply went on over to the state of Carolina. That's right. I landed in the city of Raleigh and then drove more towards the west to the city of Greensboro. And it was incredible. Eastern Carolina University, as it's called, was basically the place where we were going to. Because after all, that is in fact where Luke Nowak is supposed to be going to next year, pretty much. After Luke graduates from Menominee Falls High School in summer 2021, that's exactly what will be happening. And you know what? There's probably going to be a lot of other plans we'll have along the way soon enough, but you know what? There's quite a lot of things I would also want to talk about at this point, but still. This episode's gone a little bit far, as it turns out. I guess that's what happens when I dive into the backstory as much as possible with a lot of events that I've had, but you know what? It wasn't just in the last 2 years that I was able to build up a huge amount of collectible items that I had purchased, but also throughout, well, I guess, the rest of my entire life. As far back as, well, man, my first couple of trips down to Florida, those were pretty much times where I was able to start collecting a lot of merchandise and the like that might not actually be around anymore because they were pretty much exclusive material based on every year that was around. I especially remember picking up a mug from the 2013 season of Walt Disney World, and we still have it, as a matter of fact. Fully intact and like brand new. But you know what? That's pretty much all I got to say about collectibles in and of themselves. There's a lot of stories that also revolve around them in terms of all the things that I've done that had anything to do with picking some up, but you know what? I guess we'll probably save those things for another time. So if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.